Even when you look at the vows, versus the vows that, nowadays people are writing their own vows or have been writing their own vows for years now to keep from saying, will you obey him and things like that. But that's almost like leaving the King James Version for another version. This is the original Bible here. Man, you got so many Bibles that everybody going by. So, but we use the King James Version, and I think, a lot of people use it for different reasons, because sometimes words in the King James Version, if you use that, I think, what is it, NIV or one of those, that you might understand what it's trying to say better than what the King James Version is saying. But that's why you can understand this if you would pray before you open it up and ask the Lord to open up your understanding. But the value of a woman, when you're talking about that, you're talking about what's her worth. She's worth a lot. Let's just run over to Proverbs 3:15. We can start really right there. Proverbs 3:15. And it's Proverbs 3:15 says, she is more precious than rubies, and all, that's everything, the things that cast his eyes are not to be compared unto her. She's worth more than that. That's why the Bible tells a man. See, when you get to start talking about this woman, when you start talking about the women, you got to be very careful. You got to be very careful with it. First of all, she's more precious than rubies. People love rubies. You look at those rubies; they can cost a lot of money, plenty of money, that some of us might not have in a lifetime. So you got some rubies that I'm talking about that's showing up in cost, and the Bible is telling you that she's worth more than that. It's all about how you go, and I find over the years being married, coming over 24 years, sometimes it's all about how you treat her, is what sometimes you're gonna get out of her. How she might, that's a case by case thing there. But the Bible says it doesn't tell the woman to love your husband. It tells the man, love your wife. Treat her. That's why I say this is going to be a series. See, the man supposed to be teaching her how to love. Yeah. Now, if you can find where it say, telling the woman, well, how does scripture go anyway? Man, love your wife. As Christ loved the church. Man, Adam, that's your duty. That's your duty, Adam. To love that woman as Christ loved the church. And Christ loved that church. And now it's telling the man to do the same thing. It's telling us how to act. Treat her, be cautious with her, paraphrasing here, because she's the weaker vessel. Take your time with her. Make sure you ain't just sticking your chest out with her. She's worth more than rubies. She got a worth. I'm talking about she has a worth in and out of the church. In and out of the church. She has worth. You can't treat your wife good when you come to church, and when she get home, you treating her like she's a nobody. No. We talked about one time that your prayers would be hindered. Now, I'm going to go back to Proverbs because I got Proverbs 31, the 31 chapter down here, verses 10 to 31. But I'm not going to read that right now. I want to dive into this a little bit. I want to go to 1 Corinthians because a lot of times we like to talk about the woman being silent in the church. And see, when you look at the woman being quiet in the church, what Paul was trying to tell them, that Ephesian church was trying to tell that Corinthians church, there's a reason why he was saying that. That's the reason why he spoke on that. So when we look at that in its entirety, what was Paul saying? Was he telling them women cannot? We know that's not true because the women they prayed and they prophesied in the public. So he definitely wasn't telling them they had to be totally quiet, but he was saying something there. Wasn't Paul the same one saying something about not being married? See, because a lot of times when you find yourself not married, you got plenty of time, more than a married person do, to get closer to God. You do. You got that time now. You got that time to pray, to seek God. Man, you got a husband, you got a wife, you got kids. You're gonna be distracted from a lot of these things. The Bible tells a woman to take care of your family and things. We're gonna get into a little bit of all of that. That's why I said lessons like this, the value of a woman, the worth of a woman. It takes time. It takes a little time. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 14th chapter. Let's read verses 34 and 35. And let's see what they're saying here. Versus what we might think or versus what we might have heard. And I'm telling you now, you still got people right now in the day that still haven't connected dots and still believe that this is what it's saying for today. You have the ladies that still wear the Lord is a shawl, or what you call them things they put on their head? Doily. They put those on their head because why? They was taught that way. They was taught they can't come into the sanctuary without anything on their head. Now, that's why I said, when we look at this whole thing, you got to look at it with its entirety. You can't just look through it with a small lens. You got to look through the lens, a bigger lens than what we look through it with. We got to look at the whole entire picture. We got to connect the dots and see where did this come from? Where was that for? This here right here. This 1 Corinthians, that was for the Corinthian. This here, what I'm going to tell you about, is for the Corinthian culture. They had a different culture back there than we have now. This is a different time than it was then. Verses 34 and 35 said what? Let your woman keep silent in the churches, but they are commanded. And if they will learn anything, for it is a shame for a woman to speak in the church. If you go to chapter 11, you'll find that a woman prayed and prophesied in public worship. You'll find that in chapter 11. They prayed in public and in public worship. That means they had to say so. You look at chapter 12, 13 and 14. The women were given spiritual gifts. They was given spiritual gifts and were encouraged to exercise them in the body of Christ. You can find it in chapter 12, 13, and 14. You read through that you'll find that they was able to exercise the gifts. So they wasn't silent. They wasn't quiet. They wasn't telling them to be quiet Listen, I wrote down here because I wrote some things down here, and you find that the Corinthian culture, women were not allowed to confront men in the public. Women who became Christians. This is why, check this out, this is why he was telling them, to try to quiet them down a little bit. This is Paul here. He said the Corinthian culture, women was not allowed to confront men in the public. Women who became Christians thought that their Christian's freedom gave them the right to question men in public worship. It was rough back there for women. It was rough back there for them. They tried to keep them quiet as much as possible. This was causing division in the church. Women in that day did not receive religious education like the men did. See, but women began to ask questions in worship service that they was telling them, you can ask that at home. See, now it's kind of, you get somebody that come to your class, you know what I'm saying, and now they raising their hand and raising their hand and raising their hand. Not that you mind so much, but now you want to talk more than the teacher. So this is seem like what they pretty much was saying. The women, they was asking questions, but they was but they was unlearned. The men, you know what I'm saying, they didn't teach these women like they taught the men. The men, they made sure the men knew the scriptures and same thing. He said, I put down here, worship service, that they could have been asked at home without disturbing the worship service. Paul, he was asking women not to display their Christian freedom during worship service. Paul wanted to promote unity, oneness in the Corinthian church, not the roles of a woman in the church. He wasn't trying to tell them what a woman should and should not do. He wasn't trying to separate that. He was trying to, but the women they was outspoken. And to say it a nice way, they was talking too much. And that's why I say sometimes you will, when you look back in the day, you look back when we was growing up, and I'm telling you now, you find some women in the church, unless you really looked over in where they sit most of the time, you didn't know they was there. I'm talking about when I was growing up. Half the time, if you look over, you ain't know Mother Tate was there, unless you looked in a seat. You didn't know Mother Penn was there, and you looked in a seat. Why? These women, it's not that they couldn't get up and testify and sing and do all the things they was doing. They was quiet. They didn't have a role where they had to be on the pulpit and things like that. They didn't, do a lot of teaching, but they taught the beautiful thing about it, what I looked at, they showed you what to do. They showed you how to act. Come, listen. Be quiet as much as possible. Not so much really with the woman. That's a man too. Sometimes men, they get to ask more than they should. But this is what Paul was saying. And a lot of times, I'm telling you now, we get it mixed up right now in the day. Right now in the day, we want to use the culture of the Ephesian church. The culture, because I put down in the Ephesian church, Paul did not want the Ephesian woman to teach because they did not have the knowledge or experience. The Ephesian church had a specific problem with false teachers. The women in the Ephesian church were abusing their newly acquired Christian freedom. They was beside themselves. And you know one thing, when you look at that, they just might have had a lot of zeal. When the person first gets saved, they newly saved, newly saints, and they just got saved. What they do? Both man and woman. Boy, they love everybody. Boy, they'll stand up every service. I love y'all. And I'm telling you now, so it was zeal. But the men, no doubt, back there, and still now today. Some men, man, they don't want from no woman. They don't want to, and I'm telling you now, they don't give them a chance. They don't give them a chance. All because they have not looked at the word and have not connected dots. In the first century, Jewish culture, women was not allowed to study. That's in the first century. They was not allowed to study. The Jewish women was not allowed to study in the first century. The Jewish women. You gotta look at this whole, that's what I'm trying to tell you. You gotta look at this whole thing. The women in the Ephesian church was abusing their newly acquired freedom. The women were newly converted and uneducated. They did not have the necessary experience, knowledge to teach those who already had knowledge and experience the Bible education. But they was wrong. They were zealed up. They had that zeal. And tell me now, when you get a somebody that's newly saved or been saved about a year, and here you running around, you've been saved 25, 30 years, they think they know more than you. Because they didn't went home and rememorize some scriptures or heard somebody talk about some scriptures, and now you got somebody, they ain't got teeth in their mouth, but they know more than that one that been saved for 20, 30 years. Same thing here. These women they was happily, because when you look at a time where, look, we couldn't study, they didn't allow us to look at the word. That's the same thing. Please, you look at the slavery. They ain't what the slavery is doing either. So when they was able to learn some things, they was happy to learn, to be able to read and write and stuff like that. Same thing with the women. They held them down. They held them down. And I'm telling you now today, there's no way possible I'm going to believe that God is just separating man and saying only man got a voice in the church. I don't believe that. I would never believe that. I would never believe that. And the only way I'm going to believe that is you're going to show me through this word. You ain't going to tell me what you think. And I'm saying that people purge, whoever feels that way. No, I'm just saying, because I've talked to people, several people. You'd be surprised how many people, how many churches believe that way. But God, you can't tell me God is telling the women only man. That means then that means he got to respect the person. And maybe that case that only the men should have been saved. How is that? How can you separate? This is mankind that we talking about. We ain't talking about when you look at that, as far as the ministry part, that's mankind. Now, I said something maybe Sunday. I said, why is we got so much of a problem? And I do it probably a little bit, be honest with you, when you hear titles being tossed around. So that probably would be somebody's question to me. Well, do you believe in a woman bishop? There are women that end up with that title. But you know what? You know what I think though? See, now when you put that there, do you believe in a woman bishop? I might have to ask them, well, do you believe that a man can be a chief apostle? Or an apostle? See how we separate things? It's two Man, listen, I've been a bishop too long. It's time for me to be a chief apostle. Just title hungry. I don't care what your title is. It does not take away what the word of God is going to install in you. You can be your brother, and we all brethrens. It doesn't take away. So you're going to know more than everybody else because you have stamped a chief apostle in your name, or because now he or she is a bishop. The worth of a woman, the value of a woman. We got to stop taking away from our women. Women, in the time when I was a kid growing up, was well respected. They was well respected because they led to prayer. When you see a praying woman, you knew. Okay. You knew. You knew. That's what we fed off of. And you hear now today, most people say, man, my mother was a praying woman. You don't hear them say too much about my father was a praying father. You hear them, but you will hear people say how much their mother was a praying woman. It ain't that the man didn't. But and that's what I'm saying. That's value. That's a lot of worth right there. When you got a woman in your household that would get down there and seek God for a house, you look at, I'm gonna tell you something. You look at Proverbs right here that we talking that I called out the 31st chapter. It's now, and look what this woman was doing. Let's turn to that. And I'm telling you how a woman, took care of her house and things like that. That's worth. Listen. I know we got these modern women nowadays is that they working and things like that. We got it. That's why I said it's the time. It's changed. That was this culture. That was that age. That was that time. Back then when my mother got married and stuff like that, please, they ain't work. They took care of the house. Me and my wife, we used to laugh a little bit because we hear the stories that my mother and the different ones would say, and we was newly married or whatever the case is, and they'd say, yeah, I get up and I get that dough together and yeast together and put it all together and make them homemade biscuits. We just laugh. I look at her and she'd be like, how y'all say, boy, bye. So it's like, I'm not expecting that. I never expected that. Why? Come on, just don't fool yourself. That was them. That they had, the things that they had, we don't have that no more. Mothers in the church, people don't want nobody. Well, most mothers in the church, when I say mother in the church, you had a mother in the church that everybody pretty much looked to. Nowadays, a lot of the mothers, well, y'all too, but mothers that's y'all age, most of them have died off. So you don't have a lot of those in the church no more. Mothers that's 80, 85, you don't have too much of them in the church anymore. Most of those people at your age pretty much have passed on. Now, think that somebody gonna take their place. It ain't happening. It ain't happening. They gonna look at you like, please, you my peer. You ain't mother nothing. It ain't happening no more. Them days are gone. Nobody is looking for you to be a mother. And you know what you got to do to be a mother? You got to earn that. Can't you be telling, man, I'm old enough to be your mother. I'm old enough to be your grandmother. You know how you looking at them? Act like it. Because mother comes when you talking about that, see, that's a lot of worth right there. That's a lot of respect right there. You had a lot of people, man, they might have feared Mother Temple more than they feared the pastor. Wow. Well, Mother Temple put them eyes on you, or tell you what she think, and she gonna tell you exactly what she think. Ain't putting no kind of cut on it at all. Or have you saying, I ain't going back there no more. Until God help you to understand that down the line, she was helping me. It was hard. It wasn't easy, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I would not give up. I don't regret, and I would always I cherish the way that they taught us back then, as strict as it was. Because I think a lot of people, if they didn't come up under some kind of strict teaching, probably wouldn't be here today. This world now today is polluted. The church has become polluted. Polluted what was false. That's what Paul was talking about. We had a particular false teachers in the church. We had to try to kind of like separate this thing somewhat, or try to keep them quiet down a little bit. They unlearned. They don't really understand exactly all what they talking about. So he trying to just tell them, just wait a minute. And sometimes you have to wait. I say that the other day. Listen, just read your Bible and pray every day. That's the way you're gonna grow. You ain't gonna do nothing no more different than that. Well, I say now, this is Proverbs, the 31st chapter. And when you look at that, and I'm telling you now, this woman is telling you about how that woman, saints, what I'm talking about, this is a woman in the back in the day. I'm saying to you is, they did not work. I remember myself, and I've said this before, I said to my mother when I was young, Mom, I want to marry a woman just like you. Because I seen all the stuff that my mother was doing. I'm gonna making them home biscuits and man cooking for a large family and man, we was having hot dogs and beans, and Dad said, I want some chicken and a salad and some rice. And what you think he got? He got that chicken, that salad, and rice. He got what he wanted. That was then. You know what the woman gonna say now? I work too. I bring more money. I bring more money than you bring in. That's what they gonna tell you now. So you know what my mama told me when I told her that I want to marry a woman just like you, Mom? She just shook her head. No. Ain't never tell me why she saying no. She just said no. But guess what? Teach your wife how to love. How you do that? By you showing her love. By you caring for her. That's what's in a woman. That's going to come out of her. If you save, that's going to come out you, man. You're good. You got good morals and things about you. That's supposed to come out of you. But if you definitely save, that's definitely the love of God and everything, the fear of God that's going to come out of you. How to teach that woman. But this woman here, she went over and beyond the time and the day we're living in now. We're not going to get this back. And guess what? We live through it. We work with it. We can deal with it. Let's start at verse number 10. It said, who can find a virtuous woman? The Bible is calling her virtuous. Say that word for me. Virtuous. Yeah, the Bible is calling her that, and it's calling her that for a reason. Look at the things that she done. This right here is just self-explanatory what she done, how she took care of her household, how she went up and above to do the things that she needed to do and showed her wealth, her worth, showed the value of what a woman should be. Who can find? Come on, class, let's read this real quick. Who can find a virtuous woman for the price far the heart of her husband?
So that she shall have no need of spoil.
She would do him good and not evil all the days of her life. Well, she seeketh wool
and work willingly with her hands. She is like the merchant and bringeth her food from afar. She raises also while it is yet night, and giveth meat.
Now see, you see that right there? She raises also while it is yet night. That means she getting up wee hours in the morning. The daylight have not come yet. What's she doing? She great fix those biscuits. She ain't getting no Pillsbury dough from no local store. She making that homemade biscuits. That's then now. That's then. We understand. That's then. Sometimes you need two income to come in. A lot of times in that day. What we at 16? She considers a field
and a portion to her maid.
Okay. She
considers a field and buy
and fruit of her hands.
She girdeth her loins.
And strengthens her arms.
She perceives that her merchandise is good.
Her candle goes not out by night. She layeth her hands in the spindle, and her hands hold the.
She stretches out her hands to the poor. Yea, she reaches forth her hand to the needy.
She is not afraid for her household, for all her household are clothed.
She gonna go out in that snow also. She maketh her covering
with tapestry. Her clothing is silk and purple. Her husband is known in the gate when he sitteth among the elders of the land. She maketh fine linen and selleth it, and delivereth her to merchants.
strengthen and honor her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come. She opened her mouth with wisdom, and her tongue is the law of kindness. She looketh well into her ways of her household, and eateth not the bread of the idols. Her children
arise up and call
are
her
blessed. Her husband also embraces her. My
many
Lord,
daughters have done virtuously, but thou hast
favor is deceitful.
and beauty is vain. But a woman that fears the Lord, she shall be praised. Give her of the fruit of her hand, and let her own work praise her in the gates.
Beautiful when you look at that. Virtuous woman. Wealth, got worth. That's a lot of value there. Taking care, doing everything she needed to do. Buying land, planting her own stuff, helping out the poor. So you really can look at that and say, hey, she do have a job, because she was selling to the merchants and everything. She was doing whatever it took. Made sure her husband looked up the part when he was around the elders. So she was making sure the whole household was taken well care of. That's what I'm going to tell you. You got to understand, when you look at the word, woman of God, this word, it can help you. But guess what? You got to want to be helped. We got to want to be helped. And I'm telling you now, that's when you look at a woman, she might not be married. And the ones that are married, it's telling you how to treat that man, how to treat them kids, make sure them kids are nurtured, make sure that the husband is nurtured and everything. Everybody got clean clothes. everybody bathe real good and things of that nature. But that woman that's not married to, she should carry herself in a respectful way. She shouldn't be busy. I'm telling you now, I know a woman that never was in ministry, carried herself like a virtuous woman. And I ain't talking about somebody, I'm talking right now, somebody that's not all, 60, 70 years old. I'm talking about middle-aged women that have never been busy. I never seen them. That's value. That's worth. You showing that generation that come up behind you how to act. And guess what? She get up and testify and things like that, but you never heard somebody say something really bad about them. And guess what? Somebody talk about her about it. Everybody got to turn when it comes down to that. This is the value of a woman. I had a lot of different other little things down here because I'm going to hit that next. I got 1 Timothy's 2nd chapter. That's going to tell you a lot of little things about a woman. I think it's 2 Timothy 3rd chapter. We're talking about the value of a woman. We're talking about the worth of a woman. In church, out of church. This is what this all about today. And we wanna continue. If you got something, you can always raise your hand in this class. If you got something you want to bring to the table, next class, when I come down and talk with the women, bring it. If we don't agree, bring it. If we agree, bring it. This is how we learn. This is how we hash this thing out. No one, two, but what it is, we want us to understand. Let's cherish our women. We all come from them. We all was born of a woman. And they will always have value. They will always have worth. You can't, a man should never treat a woman like he treat a man. Never. You find nowadays, you let a joker get locked up for beating a woman. Boy, they gonna have someone on his hand when they find that out. We got to take, and it's up to us men to take care of our women, to make sure they straight, to protect them in every way. I would never say enough times that it takes a real man to protect his wife in every way. Oh, I'm protecting her because somebody knocked on the door at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm protecting her. I'm not just talking about that. Guide her from your enemies. If she don't know that person your enemy, don't tell her. Gotta have freedom, because that's going to affect her. Protect your heart. Shield her from whatever it takes. And I'm not saying to say to give her everything she wants. Sometimes you gotta tell her no. You start telling her yeah to everything, you're gonna have something on your hand. And then not only is she gonna want it, but she gonna want it for the kids too. My father used to tell my mother, you and your kids. I repeat that now today. I took that from my father. I tell my wife, you and your kids. But that's a mother. A mother is not going to, that woman is not going to be a little rugged like that man is. And I have to tell my kids sometimes, I ain't your mother. I'm gonna discipline you to the fullest, or I'm gonna go upside your head if I have to. But for saints of God, I know we started this a little late. We had a little issue. We're gonna go back on this because I got a couple more scriptures I wanna deal with. Did anybody have anything they wanted to say? Anybody? Come on, brother. There's somebody grunting to me. Okay, was that?
That wasn't me.
Praise the Lord, saints.
Okay, yeah.
Come on, go ahead, brother.
Praise the Lord, saints.
Praise the Lord.
I enjoyed with the first book, Genesis, how the Lord made man.